Hello everyone and greetings to all of you watching this video once again, my dear Naga brothers and sisters and friends from other communities. I hope you all are doing well. Today in this video, I would like to make another presentation of my personal research, reflection and understanding of one of the most sensitive, polarizing and debated issues in Manipur at present, that is the Meitei's demand for ST or scheduled tribe status. This is not an attack on any community, please do not get me wrong. It is an honest attempt to understand the reasons and realities behind this demand and why it has led to tension and even violence, especially since the events of May 3rd, 2023. We cannot say whether it is wrong or right for the Meiteis to demand ST. They have the legal rights to do so. What we need to know is why they demand, and for that we need to look deeper at the land, the history, the people, and the factors that have brought us to this point. Let us first begin by understanding the context of the present day state of Manipur. Manipur is a small landlocked state in this northeastern part of India. It attained full statehood in 1972. It is surrounded by Nagaland to the north, Mizoram to the south, Assam to the west, and Myanmar or Burma to the east, and also shares over 350 kilometers of international border. The state is naturally divided into two regions, the valley and the hills. The valley region includes districts like Imphal, Taubal, Bishnupur, and Kakching, where most of the Meitei inhabit, and there is also another place called Jiribam near Silchar in Assam that also has a large Meitei population. And surrounding this central valley are the hill districts, home to the Naga people and also the Kuki-Zo tribes, each with their own language, customs, traditions, and systems of governance. It is also important for us to understand the Meiteis and the historical background. The Meiteis trace their roots to the glorious ancient kingdom of Kangleipak, one of the oldest organized kingdoms in the region, no doubt about that. Over time, they built a very strong system of governance, developed their own script, and made significant progress. By the 17th and 18th centuries, under King Pamhaibag or Garib Niwas, the kingdom had become very powerful and centralized. Hinduism was introduced and blended with the native Sanamahi faith, forming the identity that defines the Meiteis today. Also influenced by Shantidas Adhikari, a Hindu missionary from Sylhet, Pamhaiba adopted Vaishnavism and renamed the kingdom of Kangleipak to Manipura in 1724 and replaced the traditional Meitei Mayek script with the Bengali script, marking a cultural shift that further reshaped Meitei identity. We need to also remember that the Meitei kings carried out expeditions into the hills to extend control over surrounding tribes during that time when the kingdom was at its peak. Though there is no historical record or treaty that shows that the Nagas or other hill tribes ever accepted the Meitei rule, the hills remain autonomous, governed by their own chiefs and customs. A very important event or a very significant event in the history of Manipur is the 7 Years devastation. A major turning point came with the Burmese invasion of Manipur 1819 to 1826, known as the 7 Years devastation. During that time, the Meiteis were forced to flee their homes and take refuge in the hills, where they were protected by the tribal communities. When peace returned, the Meiteis returned to the valleys to continue their rule. This serves as a reminder that the hills were never a territory to be ruled, but a refuge in times of hardship. Fast forward to the post-independent era. After India became independent, the constitution recognized the need to protect the tribal lands, the identity and governance systems of the hill people. To safeguard them, Article 371C and the Manipur Hill Areas District Councils Act 1971 were introduced. Under these laws, land in the hill areas cannot be bought or owned by non-tribals, including Meiteis. Tribal people, however, can legally buy and own land in the valley. This arrangement was made to protect the weaker tribal communities from losing their ancestral land. But over time, the Meiteis began to feel that this created an imbalance, since they were restricted from owning lands in the hills, whereas the tribals, by constitutional right, can buy and own land in the valley. Now we are coming to the main question why the Meiteis are demanding ST status today. We need to keep in mind that for many years, the Meiteis saw themselves as non-tribal and advanced. They were at the center of education, culture, and administration. Almost every chief minister of Manipur has been Meitei except Yangmaso Shaiza and Rishankai Shing, who were from the Tangkhul Naga community. Imphal became the political and cultural hub of the state, but in recent decades, the Meiteis have begun to feel increasingly cornered socially, economically, politically, and most importantly, geographically. Their concern is right, of course. The reason for demanding ST status can be understood under some points. Number one, land and population pressure. The Imphal Valley, being the capital, which serves as the capital and commercial hub of Manipur, accommodates over 60% of the state's population within just about 10% of its total land area. With space limited and population steadily rising, the land scarcity and soaring prices have become serious concerns. Because the Meiteis are legally restricted from owning land in the hill areas, they fear that their living space and future growth are being squeezed. Granting ST status would allow them to purchase land in the hills, which they argue is necessary due to the high population density and limited land available in the valley. And the second one is constitutional safeguards. The Meiteis are indigenous to the region and they need ST status to protect their ancestral land, culture, language, and identity from outside influence and potential infiltration. They claim that they are becoming marginalized in their own land. The third reason is equal opportunities. While the Meiteis have access to the scheduled caste, SC, other backward classes, and general categories, they seek ST status to ensure equitable access to government jobs, educational opportunities, and political representation, which they feel are threatened. Now, on the other hand, we need to understand why the hills oppose the demand. That is where the valley hill divide exists today. The tribal communities see this Meitei demand for ST as a potential threat. They fear that if the Meiteis become ST, they may eventually gain the right to buy land in the hills, which would destroy the constitutional protections that have kept the tribal lands safe. And they also feel that the Meiteis, being politically dominant for decades, already hold most key positions in government and administration. To them, this demand is not about survival but about expanding influence. Centuries of mistrust, the past hill expeditions by the kings, and the continued use of derogatory terms like Lawai, How Macha, How Pang, How Tu, and so on by the Meiteis whenever there are disagreements have also deepened the suspicion. For many in the hills, this ST demand feels like a return to the old struggle, not with weapons but through diplomatic means. So, if we look at the reality and look at these contexts, we see there is a wide gap of misunderstanding between the Meiteis and the tribal people when it comes to the Meiteis' demand for ST. The question is not whether the Meiteis deserve ST status or not, but how and why it should be granted and how it can be done without harming others. There are a few things we can consider. The first one is conditional ST status. If granted, ST status should apply only within the valley and should not allow Meiteis to buy or own land in the hills. A separate category like Valley Indigenous Scheduled Tribe status could be created under the same constitutional framework. This is to protect the valley from further encroachment. Another one is protect hill safeguards. Article 371C and the Hill Areas Committee must remain untouched. No law should weaken the protection of tribal land and autonomy. There's another thing we can consider is a balanced land policy. The government should introduce better land use policies to control overcrowding in the valley and prevent encroachment on hill areas. A joint body of hill and valley representatives should oversee land matters, handle disputes, and ensure transparency in all issues. We also need to think about mutual respect and dialogue, which I feel is the most important. The tribal communities too should understand and recognize the Meitei's genuine concern of losing their land, culture, and identity. At the same time, the Meitei should acknowledge that any arrangement allowing intrusion into tribal lands would never be acceptable and must uphold the rights and protections of the hill people. Both sides must learn from the past. Trying to overpower or surpass one another will not bring a solution. Real peace will never come from blame or bitterness. It will only come through understanding, respect, and honest dialogue by understanding and considering one another's sentiments. We have to be very realistic. The hill tribes were never conquered, their land was never surrendered. Their spirit was never broken. And for the Meiteis too, they are not wrong to safeguard their identity or their land in the valleys. Their desire to protect their heritage, their culture, and their homeland is natural and very, very human. It's deeply human. But protecting identity must not become a means to claim what belongs to others. And so, my understanding is that both the valley and the hills deserve protection, dignity, and space to thrive. True peace will come only when truth is spoken with empathy. We need to understand one another's sentiments and not hurt or insult or mock one another's sentiments. Land should become a bridge to connect us better as neighbors and not a boundary of hostility. Manipur can only heal when both sides agree to protect what is theirs and respect what is not theirs. So that is what I understand about the Meitei's demand for ST. They definitely deserve the ST status to protect their own territory, to protect their culture, their identity. So thank you so much for staying with me till the end, and thank you for your time and patience. If there is anything that you would like to share or your perspectives, please make use of the comment section below. And I hope to see you in the next discussion. Thank you, and God bless you. Kuk na lim.